Hello everyone. We've built another G-Wagon 6x6, and this time we assembled it entirely as an exact replica. Why do I say that? Because we built it using original parts: portals, brakes, driveshafts, wheels, tires, shocks, and many other expensive components. Today, I'll share some prices with you so you can be a little shocked. Our donor this time was a 2017 G63. Let's see what we've achieved.
Caution, content's hot. You got to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You got to give me all you got.
I'm very interested in your opinion on which G-Wagon looks better with the new front end or strictly according to the original. Here we have the usual factory front end without any overlays, nothing extra, everything just as it came from the factory. A carbon visor and matte finish with fender flares, all as usual. You know, you like it, and we love it the way we do it, beautifully snugly. Probably even better than the original. The front bumper protection, that's all externally. We made split wheels with beadlocks that grip the rubber, so you can deflate to zero and the rubber won't budge. Such a wheel costs €3,000 new, probably the most expensive wheel I've ever encountered on cars. The tires are also original and currently available for sale, although it's extremely hard to find them. But for this project, we found 7 tires, bought them, and already installed them. The client desired red springs, so we painted them. The shock absorbers are from the Jens company, very well known and truly comfortable. I've already ridden in this car, and the softness is truly felt. The comfort of the car, I mean, with the other shock absorbers we previously installed, it behaved slightly differently, not as comfortably. But still comfortable with these shocks, a bit better. The shock absorber set costs €8,500 here. Those are the figures, the most expensive part of this project. Let me tell you about it, of course, the portal axles. The brake reducers, the middle axis, very expensive, expensive wheels, tires, suspension, and then our work, welding, painting, and so on. The portal axles here are from the Texto company, the ones that were installed from the factory on the 6x6. They add 15 centimeters in height, that's 150 millimeters. When we installed German portals from TPUS, they gave 125 millimeters, so they're 2.5 centimeters lower. It doesn't visually affect anything. For me, for example, it's noticeable. Yes, the bridge clearance is 25 millimeters higher here. For instance, I noticed that. Out of you, 99% won't notice this during use. Well, I don't know. Those don't make noise. There's not much difference. I certainly don't see it during installation. Of course, these portals are slightly better in that the bridges don't twist as much because we have to compensate for this 25 millimeters difference between TPUS or Texto. We need higher springs accordingly, so the bridge twists slightly more, but it's insignificant. However, there are some deviations. The cardan angle is slightly larger, but it doesn't affect much. The brakes here, guys, are exactly official. That's exactly 1 million greens, which is approximately $25,000, just the brakes, original from the 6x6. They were only installed on the 4x4 and the 6x6. These are brake calipers, brake discs, and hoses. They were purchased a bit cheaper, which was important for the client, so that everything was original. We installed them in red. It looks very cool. I'll tell you another important piece of information. So, on all G-Wagons from any manufacturer, the front axle is slightly wider, and to align it with the rear axle, spacers are needed, about 30 millimeters. I thought that with the original portals, we wouldn't need any of this, but here everything's the same. Always use professionals, guys. I always try to work only with professionals, and spacers are very important because if they're not made very well, we'll have vibrations from the play. Here, the central hole fits snugly, as you see, and there's no play. In general, everything as you like it, everything snugly, clear, and correct. The car was completely repainted. Initially, it was also matte gray, but there were some chips here and there. In general, the client asked to repaint it entirely, including the door jambs, and we did it. You can see it's an extremely complex painting process. Not only do we need to match the color, but also when painting a car without the rear body, we need to match the color of these two parts so they're identical. Because if you apply more paint to one layer, it's not the same color anymore, and then achieving the matte finish adds another layer of complexity. You need to apply a bit more lacquer to achieve the matte effect, so your car can end up either matte or glossy, which is very challenging. But we've been working with matte colors for years, and we've got it down. You can see the moldings were completely painted from start to finish to match. So the rear molding doesn't differ from the front one. Also matte chrome stainless steel. And of course, we installed an electric step on the front door. The carbon fiber, as I showed you earlier, fits snugly, perfectly matched at the back. All matte carbon fiber, the weave just like the original. Down below, everything's lined. Under these huge fender flares, there are two receivers, beautiful shock absorbers. It all looks cool. You can tell it's a very expensive and special car. Here, there's a full tire inflation system installed. Let me demonstrate how it works. You can deflate the tires completely because we have beadlock wheels that grip the rubber, so it won't come off. For off-road, this feature is exactly what this car needs. Let's pump front wheels. So, guys, we have a tire inflation system installed, which is a very costly option. It requires wiring throughout the entire car, hoses and wires in the rear, in a special compartment, and two very expensive, fastest pumps we could find. Also, there's a moisture separation system to prevent corrosion, expensive valves, and new seals in the portal axles. In general, there was a lot of work done here. The client will be very pleased. We've been driving it for 2 weeks now. The car stood on the inflated system and nothing deflated. This G-Wagon is a full 6x6. The middle axle is fully original. That means all three axles are driven, and all three can be locked. I've shown in my previous videos how it all works. It's all factory. In the cabin, we have 3 rocker switches. It operates fully as per factory settings. We can lock the interaxle differential. Once it lights up red, we've locked all 4 rear wheels, meaning both rear axles are locked, making it hard to slip, and that's it. All 3 axles are now locked, and it operates just like from the factory. We've also done some work, of course. The rear wall was manufactured without any makeshift solutions. Nothing is visible. All the plastic fits perfectly. I'll insert detailed shots so you can see that no matter where you look, whether under the car, inside the body, or in the cabin where we worked, you won't see any homemade solutions. It's all factory. We try very hard for that. The front seats from the G63 were fully reupholstered in the factory style, and the door inserts were also modified. They have rhombus patterns. And most importantly, the rear part of the cabin, as the external car, is fully original, so is the cabin. We installed 2 seats from the G63. You know they're slightly different in shape, and in the center, an armrest, all just like the original. Let's take a look. I probably scoured half the world to find exactly those seats from the G-Wagon, and we also had to sew them. The power mechanisms are fully functional, and these adjustments are exactly the same as the ones on the original seats. It took forever. We manufactured such an armrest and upholstered it in leather. Here, we have a small glove compartment. Everything is done exactly like in the factory G-Wagon 6x6. There weren't any special modifications at the bottom for us. As for the seating, well, they're slightly shifted back, but insignificantly, because the factory bench can be pushed significantly back. So we need to change the carpet at the bottom to make sure none of this is visible, to make it seem like nothing has been altered. I'll tell you, it's actually very, very comfortable to sit here. The backrests are adjustable, and you can even recline them, so you can comfortably travel long distances lying almost flat. The only downside is that it's such a huge car, yet it only has 4 seats, but that's what the client ordered, so that's what we built. And of course, let me know what you prefer, these separate seats, how they're done in the original, or perhaps, let's say, the factory bench, but shifted back to have 3 full seats, or the third option, the bench seat. Well, maybe the bench seat would be cheaper. and the factory bench would also be cheaper, because all of this costs quite a bit. The armrest and the corresponding work, of course. Well, in the rear part, there are basically no differences from other G-Wagons. We have the G63 badges. Everything strictly follows the original: hinges, handles, locks. Only original parts are used here. The additional fuel tank protection, extra bumper, everything the same. And let me show you how we did the rear part of the body here. We try very hard, just like in the cabin and externally, and underneath, on the axles, everywhere, we're very meticulous. So, this is how our G-Wagon 6x6 turned out, which we completely built using original parts. Maybe I forgot some small details, like the drive shafts. We also bought original ones and much more. But the main things, I showed and talked about. The most expensive things, I showed and talked about. If you're wondering whether it's worth buying the original portals from Tech, they're not made at the Mercedes factory. In my opinion, I wouldn't buy them because, firstly, they're very expensive. That's the first thing. Secondly, other brakes don't fit there, only their own, the ones that are original. Yes, the brakes from the G63 are indeed better than the brakes from the portals, but if we compare them to the German portals from TBUS, they're also good, they work without problems, they don't make noise. The brakes on them are the same factory ones that were on the car before. That is, they're many times cheaper. And regarding the shocks from Ings, they are really good. I immediately went out on this G-Wagon and immediately felt that they work more comfortably than the other shocks we installed before. But you have to pay 8,500 euros for this. In general, it's only up to you to decide what will be installed on your car during the build. And be sure to write in the comments which G-Wagon 6x6 you like the most, which we built. Maybe the V12 G65 in yellow, maybe the lemon yellow one that we built, or the matte black one that we recently sent to America with a yellow interior. I'm waiting for your comments, and be sure to subscribe to my Instagram if you want to see more of what we do it with, what new projects we have, and which old projects we've finished, because on YouTube, everything comes out very late. The link to Instagram will, of course, be in the description. There's also TikTok and Facebook, and here's the name of my Instagram. That's all. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye.